Hello and welcome. My name is Charlie Hamer. I'm one of the co-founders of Public Sector Network. And for those of you that don't know us, Public Sector Network is a global community platform that's been around for almost 10 years, operating across Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the US, and the UK. Our mission is to better connect government, industry, and academia to facilitate the sharing of ideas, best practice, enable networking, and provide benchmarking. Ultimately, our goal is to drive improvements in government services and achieve to help government achieve better outcomes for communities. We achieve this through a variety of different avenues, events being one of our key offerings, ranging from intimate gatherings of 10 people up to several thousand. In addition to the events, we have our academy, which delivers both public courses and custom, as well as in-house training. And our research and advisory division develops research and insights into many different areas, as well as conducts regular research council meetings across the globe. All of these elements are then tied together via our online community platform, creating a cohesive space for continuous learning and engagement. So on to today, one of the topics for today is around change. And as we all know, change is inevitable in any organization, but very much so in the public sector, especially with the increasing drive towards digital transformation. Yet managing that change can be incredibly challenging. And statistics show that up to 70% of digital transformation efforts fail, primarily due to improper communication and lack of stakeholder engagement. On the other hand, mapping out of business processes effectively allows government teams to understand their workflows better, identify inefficiencies, and ensure that changes are implemented seamlessly and successfully. Focusing on both change management and business process mapping, government teams can not only manage the change but drive it effectively, ensuring continuous improvement. So, a much more important person than me going to be speaking today. We're very fortunate to have Mustafa Ghulam with us today, who will provide insights into how mastering both change management and business process mapping can help public sector teams thrive in these transformative times. So, welcome, Mustafa.
Thank you, Charlie, for inviting me for this chat.
Thank you. So let's jump into it. So Mustafa, let's start by discussing the importance of change management in today's public sector. Why is it so crucial for government professionals to develop strong skills in leading and managing change, particularly during digital transformation efforts?
Thanks again, Charlie, and hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be having this chat about this very important topic. Look, Charlie, you have already touched on that. Change is inevitable in public sector and actually in any other organization. But I think what is something particular happening in public sector right now is the expectations from public. So there's a greater awareness from our public, our taxpayers, our ratepayers, and they demand a lot from us. They have a high expectation about our services, about our products, and that does mean we have to do a lot with often with same or often with less. And that means there's a continuous change happening to our processes, systems, people related change. And based on that, often public sector organizations are catching up on their systems, their digital transformation roadmaps, and hence cycles of change keeps going on and on. Other thing very important with change management is it's a relatively new discipline. Around about 1980s, change management started to emerge as a discipline. Project management has been a traditional discipline, but as Charlie touched, 70 up to 70% projects could fail. And one of the finding out of that was, often it is because of poor change management, stakeholder management, or communication. And henceforth, change management, I think, has started to take quite a front seat in recent years, and especially in public sector, with a lot of focus on technology now emerging. And as we know, with generative technologies, things are moving very fast. I think change is becoming more and more important, and I think it will continue.
Couldn't agree more. So on to business process mapping. In addition to change management, how does effective business process mapping play a role in ensuring that changes are implemented smoothly? Can you talk about the relationship between the two, between business process mapping and successfully managing change?
So those of you who are listening that may find it a bit out what's going on between process mapping and then change management. But actually, we will soon talk about some of the offerings public sector not, does have around these courses. But one of the things we do talk about in those courses is actually the relationship between business process mapping and change management. So business process mapping is all about knowing what your current state is, where you currently stand. If you don't know where you are, how can you change? If you do not know the baseline, and I think that's where your business processes really help you. And the other thing I very quickly wanted to say, you cannot digitize a bad process. It does not matter how good a technology you have. Often, we jump to the solution. The old saying from Einstein, the quote, if I have 1 hour to solve a problem, I will spend 55 minutes on problem,
Hmm.
5 minutes on solution. Business process mapping does do that for you. It does give you that ability to look at the problem holistically, gives you an opportunity to simplify, to standardize, and then you go for the automation. And that's where change management comes into play. So I think these both disciplines have a very close and a very complementary link.
Completely agree again. So on to some top tips. I mean, you've worked with many professionals in these areas. What are some of your top tips or best practices for successfully managing change, especially in the public sector where multiple stakeholders are involved?
So I've been lucky, Charlie, that I have managed to work in all three tiers of government in Australia and New
Hmm.
Zealand. And local government, state government, and federal government, they all have their own set of challenges and their own uniqueness. My top two tips will be first and very important thing is engage early. Engage early when it comes to change management. Do not bring your change management practitioners when the project is already running or project is about to finish and someone remembers, oh, we just need to do some comms, let's do some change management. That's not change management. Change management starts when your project does start. It doesn't matter what framework you're using. So that is the very most important tip, do that. The second important tip I will give is, and that is just based on, all three tiers of government releases also get your customers feedback, internal or external. We are moving to, and in a, as I already touched on the first question, where we community has a lot of expectations from us. So as well as our internal customers. So engage with internal and external stakeholders as much as you can, as often you can, and then get their feedback, and only then use that for your proper holistic change management processes and manage the change effectively. There's a lot of other tools which we talk about our offerings. When we talk run this session around how you better utilize the design thinking and human-centered design, etc., for that customer feedback. But those will be my two tips. Again, in summary, engage early and engage with the right people, including internal and external customers.
Great, thank you. So, what are some of the key steps in creating an effective business process map, and how can this tool be used to improve communication and collaboration during a change initiative?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you just have to come in a full day session to learn everything. But how do I sum it up very quickly in a short span of time is, Charlie, I think it comes back to, again, just what I was saying, engaging early and engaging with the right people. When it comes to doing the business process mapping, often people may tell you, what should be happening rather than what is happening. So how do you
Mm,
elicit that right information, that the ground reality? And to do that, really you need to go to the right people at the right time with the right questions. So we do help in our session around that. So definitely, that is one thing that does help you to create that roadmap for business process mapping. The other thing I will mention is with the business process mapping is also you're not going to get it right for the first time. You just have to keep going back and forth, and that's where your effective change management will come into play. That's where change management is going to complement your business process mapping because people are going to find it, I'm too busy to improve. Well, you're going to help them. You're going to tell
mhm.
them the reason we're doing a business process map because it is part of a bigger and wider program of work. That's what we're trying to achieve. So change management will help you there. And based on that, then you can really create that proper, step-by-step process, to actually do business process mapping.
Yep. Great, thank you. So you mentioned the trainings themselves,
Mm.
and so what can participants expect to learn from both the change management which is one training, and then also then the business process mapping courses. How will these skills help them apply these concepts in their day-to-day roles? And specifically, how will these courses help participants better communicate with their teams and manage the resistance to change? So big job there, Mustafa. So
Yeah, it is. So look, Charlie, I've run, half a dozen of these sessions by, working very closely with public sector network. And honestly, one of the reasons I did get involved was, I know it's going to sound cliched, is I just didn't want to run sessions, where participants sit and they just listen to a PowerPoint or listen to me. So these sessions, they're intentionally designed in a way that it is more of a facilitated session where we have a discussion in an open and safe environment. And I think the best learnings come when people are able to talk about their own problem statements or their own case studies. So the change management for digital transformation, that's a session we have is a 2 half-day session, and then business process mapping is 1 full-day session. And in the both sessions, Charlie, the typical things we go through is we go through a theory. You need to have a foundational knowledge of theory. But after that, there's a lot of discussion and people actually coming forward with their own case studies and stories. And I see myself as a chief problem solver there, trying to help them. So there's actually a lot that gets unpacked. In that way, if you go from learning design principles of adult learning, I think people are able to actually listen to something and then apply that to their own areas the way it suits to them. So they go out, with a lot of very important tools. You touched on managing resistance to change. That is actually one full topic, one full module as part of our change management for digital transformation program. And often when I set up expectations for participants, that question always comes up: how do you manage resistance to change? So there's a step-by-step process we use. I also like to think I'm going to give people a toolkit. We do talk about several frameworks. We talk about frameworks such as ADCOR model of change, which some of people would have heard. We also talk about Kotter's model of change. We do talk about that. But ultimately, what I talk about is how are you going to apply those tools to your own work environment. I'll leave people with a toolkit. So when they go back to their area, they can pull the right tool for the right job at the right time. I think that's what I leave them with.
Great, thank you. You've done such a good job. You've already answered my follow-up question. So thank you again, Mustafa, for
My
sharing those
pleasure.
valuable insights. For those interested in the 2 courses that Mustafa was talking about, see the link in the comments below, the change management, the business process mapping courses. It's an excellent opportunity, as Mustafa's mentioned, to enhance your skills and lead successful change initiatives. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Mustafa, and thank
My
you to
pleasure.
everyone who has been listening. We look forward to seeing you at the training, and we'll see you the next time. Thank you.
Thank you.